This journey is a direct challenge to the inherited wisdom of security and the quiet acceptance of a salaried life. It is written for the tens of millions of people who stand at the precipice of entrepreneurship, emerging from a family mold built on monthly paychecks and risk aversion. You are the subject of this journey, and this serves as your roadmap. The fundamental hurdle is that when you lack a familial legacy of business know-how, financial literacy, or an established network, your path is unique, often isolating, and fraught with specific, non-obvious challenges. This is a synthesis of the fundamental financial knowledge, essential psychological framework, and tactical strategies required to overcome that specific inertia. Let us begin with the foundational elements of financial literacy. Capital is the investment made in the business, which may be in cash or another form. For example, Mac introduced $4,000 cash, a $5,000 bank balance, and furniture worth $2,000, making the total capital $11,000. Assets are the properties that a business owns. For example, land, cars, and buildings are known as assets of the business. Liabilities are the obligations that a company has to pay to outsiders. This includes a loan taken from the bank or for goods purchased on credit, for which payment will be made in the future. Drawings are the withdrawal of cash from the business for personal use. For example, cash withdrawn to buy a necklace for the owner's wife. Debtors are the persons or organizations to whom goods are sold on credit. For example, you sold goods worth $10,000 to Nancy on credit, making Nancy a debtor in your books. A creditor is a person from whom you purchase goods on credit. For example, you purchase $4,000 worth of goods from Kamlesh, making Kamlesh a creditor for you. Expenses are payments that are fully consumed within 1 year, such as the purchase of stationery, electricity bills, and rent. In contrast, the purchase of a car, building, or land is known as an asset, as the useful life of an asset is typically more than 1 year. The basic difference between an expense and an asset is the useful life of the item that is bought. The profit and loss account is an account that records all the profits and losses. The balance sheet is a statement in which you show liabilities on the left side, and all the assets are recorded on the right side. Cash flow refers to the movement of cash. Sales and rent received are examples of cash inflow, while payment made to a supplier or employee is an example of a cash outflow. You must understand the difference between fixed cost and variable cost. Fixed cost is the cost that will be incurred whether you produce something or not, such as the rent of the factory or the fixed salaries of the guards. Variable cost is a cost that varies with the production of units. For example, if you are making shoes and need $10 of raw material, $2 of labor, and $1 of packing, this $13 is the variable cost. If you produce 10 shoes, the variable cost will be 10 times, that is $130, meaning this cost varies with the production. To be a successful businessman, you should always have working capital, which means the capital or cash that is used for day-to-day working. If you put all the money in your business and you do not have the cash to run your daily operations, that business will come to an end very soon. Manage your cash like you manage your daily expenses, because creditors want the payment suddenly and do not have the patience of a businessman. Tax planning plays a very important role in the business. If you do not maintain your expenses and records, a maximum portion of your profit will be collected by the government in the form of taxes. The main benefit for a salaried person and a businessman is tax. When you are in a business, you can show the expenses, which can decrease the profit, and a decreased profit will decrease the income tax. This is not possible for a salaried person who has to give the tax with little deductions. Manipulations in business, like distributing a free product as an advertisement, can be deducted as an expense, which is not possible in a salary slip. Furthermore, you must make an investment for the use of money. Let us understand the concept of inflation. Suppose a shirt is $100 this year, and next year the same shirt is being sold for $107. This increase of $7 is known as inflation. Suppose you have $1,000 in your bank, and the inflation rate is 7%. Your $1,000 will not remain stationary. The bank gives very little interest, which is not able to cover the inflation rate, so never let your funds be idle. Making money and storing that money are two different concepts. Until you are struggling in your first business journey, if you start getting good cash flows, you shouldn't spend that cash on other business investments or throwing parties. You must store that profit as reserves for the bad times of your business and your life. A good businessman is a person who always has backups. Focus on investment, not expense. If an expense is not mandatory, compulsory, or adds some value to your assets, it should be avoided. On the other hand, investments are activities that increase your wealth, such as an investment in a house that gives you a monthly rent. Saving in business means deducting and reducing unnecessary expenses. Business is self-investing, meaning you invest in yourself, invest in your family, and invest in the future of your family. Assets produce income, like rent from a leased house or from letting out a machine. Liability works opposite to the assets, as you have to pay the cost to use that money. Choose your assets wisely. The value of the car and furniture will decline forever, but land and gold always increase in value. The economic reality is defined by cycles of recession and boom. In both communities, the greatest need for capital arises during the bad times. This is the moment when savings truly work for you, acting as a psychological shield and a financial buffer. Taking a loan to start a new business can be a major fault because the failure rate for startups is notoriously high. Look around. How many new ventures started in your local market survive beyond the first year or two? However, if you use a loan to expand an already stable business, the loan works like a miracle, acting as fuel for guaranteed growth. For the salaried community, loans are usually taken to buy major consumption assets like a car or a primary residence, which is the trap of lifestyle leverage. A businessman is very clear in taking a loan. He does not take it as a burden. He takes the loan as an advantage and a help. The successful entrepreneurial mind develops in the area where you put effort. If you read business books, you will gain new business ideas, opportunities, and an understanding of the current market situation. Try to read autobiographies of successful business people, which will greatly help you understand how they think, what problems they faced, and how they turned problems into opportunities. The businessman's thinking pattern is different. While most people think about how they should consume and spend, a businessman thinks about how to attract the customer and increase wealth. For instance, a mobile phone is launched every year, not with much advanced technology, but sold at a 40 to 50% price hike compared to the previous model. Life future goals decide your behavior towards your journey. At a car repair station, the owner explained the difference between a person with high targets in life and a person with no targets. The owner came from a very poor background, but his life goal was very clear. He wanted to be the owner of the car repair center. It is not about where you came from or where you were born. The whole journey is dependent on where you want to see yourself in the future. If your plan requires a huge amount of money, you cannot achieve it without business. If you desire stability above all else, business is not for you. Money is the byproduct of purpose. The author met a renowned publisher and explained his desire to make the subject of accountancy so accessible that everyone could approach it, which satisfied the publisher. For those who have already achieved mastery in their field, money is always secondary. Their deepest motivation is the drive to be the best, knowing that when purpose leads, financial success inevitably follows. Affirmation and the law of attraction mean talking positively to yourself, being around positive people, and always putting effort into a positive way. There is a delusion of the superior path, a persistent misconception that business is inherently superior to a job. Both paths have distinct merits and demerits, and both can lead to deep satisfaction or profound unhappiness. A job requires no initial capital or extra investment from you. It requires your time and skills. A business, however, demands constant dynamism, investment, and analysis. A job guarantees retirement, while a business offers no retirement, only potential freedom. The ultimate goal is a peaceful journey and genuine satisfaction. For those who prioritize peace of mind, the salaried position and secure job are often the optimal choice. The entrepreneur, on the other hand, is defined by the willingness to accept constant risk and the desire to actively test their fortune in new fields. There is a major difference between a manager and a businessman. When hiring salesmen, a manager took 20 days asking about degrees and experience, while a small businessman simply asks salesmen about their previous profit and targets, offering them a percentage of the sales. You must overcome the fear of losing money. Business is always associated with risk. Payment is a part of business. You have to make the payments even without certainty about whether you will get your desired cash inflows in the business in the future. Fear is the most dangerous thing in the business. If you do not know how to take the risk or you are not ready for the risk, the business is not for you. Act rationally and move forward. Don't waste your time on failure. Failure is a part of life. If you waste your time regretting your decisions, you will lose future opportunities. Future action has nothing to do with your past success or failure. Making mistakes and learning is a part of any businessman's journey. Richard Branson is a very successful businessman who tried a lot of businesses, and now he has more than 400 successful companies. Courage plays an important role in your journey. It is gained by a small task in life, giving you a confidence that you could do this. The compounding power of attempts is critical. Success depends on the number of attempts. The more attempts you make in life, the more lessons you accumulate, and the higher your probability of ultimate success. An idea is not equal to implementation. Having an idea is like bearing no cost, while executing an idea means investing your time, money, and efforts and waiting for the rewards. The author's first business attempt was buying kites from a street vendor, but due to innate shyness, placing them slightly out of view resulted in a failed venture. The first, most critical lesson in business is this: do not kill your creativity. The difference between a simple businessman and one who builds a billion-dollar company is the courage to take the first step in a new direction. You cannot be a shy person. You must confidently introduce your ideas to others. Time management is the most important tool on earth. The time you have today you will not get again, and the opportunity you have today you will not have again. Stability in decisions is vital. Constantly changing your mind creates an unstable environment, which will create chaos and sometimes lead to a loss. Do not be overconfident, as overconfidence will always sink you in the sea. Setting up a business or business expansion takes time, so don't judge yourself daily. Judging yourself daily puts unnecessary pressure on yourself and your colleagues. Embrace positivity and health. A healthy body contracts diseases less often. Meditation and exercise are a must for the human body, as meditation reduces stress on the mind. Pressure is everywhere, but a businessman is under constant pressure because his job is 24/7. Remember the difference between hardworking and smart working. Smartness means making work easier. When you have a skill, you will make your work light and have time for exercising and your family. Navigating the business environment requires understanding that business is a dynamic environment. Business works on human needs, wants, preferences, and thinking patterns, which are key points that are constantly changing. Past data becomes less important compared to the current market situation. The business market focuses on predicting the future instead of looking only at old statistics and analyzing data. Business is not small or big. Profit makes a business small or big. Work on your product or service. The main unique selling proposition is the product that you are offering to the public. Work for perfection. Why will people choose you? The best and satisfying answer is that your product should be better than others. If a businessman pays more than he charges to his customers, he and the quality of the product automatically beat the other competitors in the market. A businessman has the opportunity either to increase the profit margin by raising the price of the product, or to increase the market share by dropping the price of the product. The business profit is 100% dependent on demand and supply. Buy the goods when they are cheap and available in the market, and sell them when they have high demand and low supply. Do not go against the wind or the waves. A friend tried to sell very good quality jackets and skirts in the Washington market, completely ignoring advice about what was actually sold there, resulting in an inability to sell even one jacket. Always sail the boat in the water flow direction, so the boat doesn't sink forever. Business means opportunity. Mostly losses are due to missing the right opportunity. A businessman has money because of some good opportunities, and once the opportunity is lost, it will never come back. For example, a neighbor missed a job opportunity in England simply because he didn't have a visa prepared, while his friend took the advantage. You cannot be a good businessman if you don't predict the future. The bigger the network you have, the bigger your net worth will be. A great-grandfather knew about a future bus route serving a metro line 10 years in advance because he talked to everyone, meaning his knowledge network was wider than everyone else's. A businessman should be very futuristic and be a very good observer of the changing environment. Beware of fraud and theft in the business unit. You must keep a close eye on security and watch for internal theft or leakage within the business unit. Do not save money on security, which could turn into a massive expense in the future. Security is the key factor of a successful life. When you make good money, you must always focus on stable investments. Security and stability are the keys to living a relaxed life, so don't put all the eggs in one basket. Beware of false information. False information is spread among customers and investors to influence investments, such as a private company spreading a rumor that they are building an airport to raise local real estate prices. Always check the ground reality. Save and secure your hard work. Expenses in the beginning seem huge, but registrations, registered brand logos, and other copyrights and trademarks are very important. Don't trust the people blindly. One man told another they should start making water pumps and export them to South Africa at a cost of $5, but later it was found the cost was $8. He was trapping the other person. Insurance is a very good option, specifically when transporting goods, such as when a newly merged businessman lost his mind and his family because his uninsured tea trucks were stolen in transit. Always be formal and professional. Business is not the place to make friends. That is a place to make professional relationships. Be very conscious of the terms and conditions and the person with whom you are dealing, because one wrong signature could ruin your whole business idea. Optimize your surroundings. Your environment matters a lot. If you spend your time with negative people, you will become the same as they are. Always try to be with successful people, observe how they think, and your mind will work the same way. Always be open for suggestions. You could get information about the changing environment through the suggestions of the public, which will give you the idea of what the future demands. Talk less and do more. This is a very successful formula that every businessman applies. They speak less and act more. Connection with the clients is essential. The life of a businessman is 100% dependent on his customers. Satisfaction is the main key factor of any business and customer relationship. The entrepreneur's welcome involves understanding that successful entrepreneurs need new energy and passionate people. The author met an institute owner who needed a good accounts instructor, and within days created 4 pages of unique notes that became the foundation of his published book. Email is the strongest tool to reach the top management when entering a new industry, alongside social media. Understand positional value versus relational value. A friend took a job at a car showroom, leveraging that position to build a side business, supplying spare parts. In a job, your work is assigned and the respect is for your position, but in business, relationships are personal, creating durable social capital. The biggest problem and hurdle when starting up is that your first business is not easy or guaranteed to be successful. When you are without capital, your options are severely limited. The author chose the service sector, managing everything from distributing pamphlets to creating educational materials, which led to publishing a book on accountancy for grade 11th and 12th. The inherited mindset creates family inertia. The salary class family often discourages their children from becoming entrepreneurs because they see the risk as a waste. Both the service class family and the established business class family are fundamentally risk-averse, prioritizing the known security of their own lifestyle. Changing your family pattern is not pleasant. It is always painful. You will face criticism because the people in your family are afraid of what your future will be if you don't succeed. Never expect a good pay or a good reward in the beginning of any business. As a starting businessman, you should expect that you are able to cover the cost of your production to sustain for a very long time. When you are a beginner, always focus on the traditional business. Start early and save more time. When you are in your early years, you are full of energy, both mentally and physically, making it the best time to put all your efforts into your dream business. Experience versus newcomer simply means you have to put more energy and pressure in that line as compared to the old champions. Practical experience is 1,000 times more valuable than theoretical knowledge. The most important thing that cannot be written or described is human behavior. Goals and targets should be practical. If you put impractical targets, you'll just get frustrated and make the journey tougher. Being a first business project, you must focus on stability. Matt gathered produce from the countryside and drove a truck to the city market, only to be confronted by the monopoly of established traders, forcing him to sell at a loss deal. Links and hierarchy play the most important role in any business. When asked what the toughest thing was in business, Jack Ma replied that it is managing the most intelligent people under one roof. You will never get a ready-made staff. When you search for new staff, your expectations cannot be fulfilled completely because you are dealing with humans, and honesty is very rare. Give them time to adjust, to learn, and to understand your language. Make your brand name in the market. A business flies in the sky of success when you have no substitute for your brand name. A good business always tries to give back more than the client is paid. The best and cheapest publicity way is mouth publicity. Your product and service should be so good that people automatically recommend it to other people, saving up to 50%. The best businessman knows how to convince the customers and clients. Managing the supply chain is the most important task in any business line. The unpredictable environment means you must be ready for new market opportunities. The most successful businessmen are a jack of all trades, having knowledge of everything including law, investments, storage, and transportation. Information is the most important asset of the century. The person who has the information is the king of the market. A major difference between a businessman and a non-businessman person is that a businessman is trying to create a thing or asset that will produce money for him, whereas a non-businessman is a person who uses his health, mental, and physical energy to produce money. Once you have created an asset, it will create money that does not require your physical and mental efforts. Assets are always required to make money because the human body has limited capability. Financial literacy is a very important topic that is usually not taught in schools at an early age. You must learn or study a little bit of finance, as managing finance is very important whether you're a businessman or not. The value of money is different for different people, and a businessman is the person who wants to increase his money as compared to other people. The person who is in business usually works on a percentage basis, taking the risk, whereas in a job, there is no risk and you are promised a fixed income. The spending habits of the salaried class focus on maintaining security and avoiding future financial penalties, spending with extreme caution. In stark contrast, the business class exhibits a higher risk tolerance, operating on a growth mindset and viewing spending as a strategic investment to forge new relationships. This difference is about seeing money as either a finite resource to be conserved or a tool to be deployed for future returns. Every success on this earth is rooted in mindset. History's greatest artists and most successful individuals reached their peaks because of their mentality, not because a college guaranteed their success. A businessman should be a self-motivated person. Dreams are not what you get when you sleep. Dreams are those which don't let you sleep, and you work towards your life's betterment. Success is directional. You will succeed in the direction in which you are walking. Both paths require the same unwavering resources, patience, and hard work. Business means opportunity. It is the act of earning or creating money by taking a decisive step where most people hesitate.